Have you ever been catfished? I am going to discuss 2016 through 2021 alleged EEOC decision impersonations and catfish business scams. How do you know if you are being catfished? Have you ever played the card game Go Fish, or have you been fishing before? Well, go fishing for catfish. Ask questions. Keep asking questions until something makes sense or until you catch something. A cyber criminal creates a false online identity. Oftentimes, the purpose of catfishing is to steal the victim's identity, but catfishing is a deceptive activity where a person creates a fictional persona or a fake identity on a social networking service, usually targeting a specific victim. The practice may be used for financial gain or to compromise the victim in some way, as a way to intentionally upset a victim. Yaniv Shulman, the founder of the American TV show, tells his story of a virtual romance with a 40-year-old married woman who was impersonating a 19-year-old girl online. After getting caught, her husband explained the impersonation as like a cod being catfished. What did the spouse really mean by catfish? Well, a fisherman uses catfish to keep the cod active on their journey to being sold for distribution. A fisherman once noticed the long journey made the cod unsuitable to sell once it arrived. It was limp and skinny. The fisherman started using catfish to irritate the cod, keeping the cod stimulated and aroused during transport. Henry Neveson said in his paper, "For the catfish is the demon of the deep and keeps things lively." So have you been catfished? And how do you know if you are being catfished? Are you having business interactions with someone online and you have never met in person? How do you know if they are being authentic with you or if you are being catfished? In 2015, I complained of being harassed and cyberstalked by my coworkers to the EEOC, which I was discriminatively but thankfully compensated for portions of my claims. While the agency sent me money, I never received the first-class mail of documentation I was informed that I would receive. I discovered a lot from the process and learned other complaints or other claimants had similar experiences. And as a former military police officer, my passions led me and my interest in exposing white-collar crimes and economical injustice. I used my love for water sports and did something I love to do: catch catfish. I love scuba diving and various water sports activities. The show Catfish was really in alignment with my journey for investigating or fishing for the truth behind suspicious email communication I was receiving from the government officials. Catfishing is a water sports activity, so it only made sense that with New Era Water Sports, I combined the two and I reached out to Neve from the show Catfish. Okay, first, let me explain. Cyberstalking, in short, is when someone follows your social media accounts or emails using fake accounts to secretively watch you or study you against your will or the intentions of your accounts, either for money, to cover their obsessions with you, to annoy you, or to steal your identity. This series of uncomfortable conversations I've titled Catfish Business, Pandemic EEOC Complaints, Catfished Africa, and Bouncing Back After Being Catfished. Africa has been catfished generation after generation with foreign imposters and their perceived charities and so-called business partnerships, which resulted in cultural appropriation and misappropriation of Africa's resources. Africa has been scammed from her chocolate to her coffee beans, when her so-called business investors benefited more from her resources than she did. Charities were able to scam billions in online charitable funding for aid to Africa without ever stepping a foot on the continent, and spending more on advertising and paying salaries than the aid it was to render to Africa. And as a former military police officer, you hear me say this often, with an undergrad in criminal justice and MBA in business management administration, I developed a passion for research on white-collar crimes on the start of my journey. I became a victim of the corporate American dream scam. In my field of work, I witnessed and reported fraud, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, retaliation, economic inequality, insurance scams, mortgage lending scams, financial literacy discrimination, predatory lending in the federal government. I won a portion of my claims the agency was willing to admit to, but the process helped me to discover why people are still being financially manipulated, bullied, and abused in government environments monitored by the EEOC and Congress. Why the American system was still using mental and modern-day slavery tactics. I observed to see if claims were intercepted by officials working on behalf of the agency I reported to, who censored me or tried to silence and cover up their wrongdoings. I never received any mail from the EEOC. Anytime I called, I either spoke to an automated voicemail service or I was redirected back to the agency I filed complaints against. To keep government officials on their toes and in fear of being exposed, I decided, although I had already won by being able to escape the system, I needed to create a channel to encourage Africans to stop falling for the American dream scam and rather develop Africa. Develop your own countries. The American corporation was built on slavery. Taxpayers may be trapped in a cycle of paying for a justice system, for example, the EEOC's salaries, which do not serve them. If the EEOC and Congress really wanted to put an end to workplace violence, fraud, and abuse, penalties for violations would be costly to perpetrators and strictly enforced to deter violations, rather than forcing complainants to take their cases to civil courts. Then what is the purpose of the EEOC if you have to take your case to a civil court? People should not be getting mistreated. Each year, approximately 70,000 EEOC complaints are filed. So why is it only 50% of EEOC cases are one of 72,675 charges of workplace discrimination that the EEOC received in the fiscal year 2019, which is down slightly from the 76,418 filed in 2018. The EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, recently released its fiscal year 2020 statistics of charge and resolved on behalf of charging parties. There were 67,448 charges filed in fiscal year 2020, while a reduction from the previous year and the lowest number of charges since perhaps 1992, this still means there are more than 30,000 employees in 2018 alone, before the pandemic, before going virtual, who were mistreated by their employer and did not get the justice that they seek, leaving incompetent employers in positions to victimize another employee. Okay, so what does this have to do with Catfish? Well, the EEOC went virtual. More than 60,000 claimants would have been forced to interact virtually. One of my supporters who went to the EEOC office in D.C. was given a notice that the D.C. office was vacant due to the pandemic, and everyone would be handling their cases virtually through an online portal. It was interesting that the claims were being intercepted by a virtual system working on behalf of the agency. I wanted to know if claims were actually being investigated, because if not, this would mean government funding for EEOC employees' salaries were being misused. I took to what I do best. I asked a lot of questions. I went fishing. There were more than 320,000 EEOC cases filed in the years 2016 to 2021. Only 50% of cases were won on behalf of the claimant. How many cases filed were non-white? How many of those non-white cases won? What were the decision and compensatory damages mandated by the EEOC? What are the demographics of various claimants? History of the employer's actions. How much of the investigation report did the EEOC consider? Is it the responsibility of the EEOC to investigate? And if so, how is it from 2016 to 2021 only 50% of claims received decisions in the claimant's favor? How many of those decisions were investigated? What is the EEOC criteria for investigation and awards? How many EEOC attorneys reviewed claims in those years? What were their decisions in respect to the claim's race and agency? How many complaints have the FDIC had, and who were the deciding attorneys and compliance investigators? How did they handle each claim? How were claimants notified? What were claimant experiences using the portal? What were claimant experiences calling the EEOC headquarters or call center? And finally, if everything was handled virtually, were you catfished? Contact us at www.erica.com. That is ERAKAH, not your common spelling, to join a national study on EEOC decisions to help Congress intervene. Other countries follow the example of the U.S. without knowing what goes on behind the scenes or how unsuccessful their system is. America, if you want to lead by example, do better. All right, up next. Have you been catfished by a virtual business since the pandemic, or have you filed an EEOC claim in the past 5 years? Call or email using the contact form with this information ready: the name of the company, list of claims filed, or the nature of the scam. If reported, name the reporting date, name the investigator, compliance officer, or attorney in charge of your complaint. What was the result of filing the complaint? List links or give links, portals, websites, emails, and phone numbers the point of contact communicated with you through. Your contact number, gender, race, and location. That's all by choice, but will help with our study. Contact details can be found on any of my social media links. And remember, it takes courage to speak up for yourself. Okay, so you can choose to listen to this ramble, check out another uncomfortable conversations topic on my YouTube channel, or submit an inquiry using the contact form on my website, www.erica.com. Please leave a comment or subscribe. Okay. I guess naive or gullible people need to be catfished. It has made me stronger and more alert and been my driving force. Like Neve, I too want to help you discover if you are being catfished and encourage you not to take it personally, but thank the universe for an opportunity to use the experience to strengthen you, guide you, and humor you. What have you done for yourself to bounce back? Check out my social media platforms to learn more about workspace wellness and R&R advocacy. Or if you need someone to bounce ideas off of while you're trying to recover from being catfished or being in bad business relationships, I'm here. Are you a cybersecurity professional? Do you have any tips on how someone can protect themselves from impersonations or business scams in this virtual era? Leave a tip or comment to help someone else. I truly believe nature, exploring, and discovering with the help of an accountability motivation partner or a motivation partner added with some healthy adventure are the most therapeutic necessities to help you bounce back after being betrayed or leaving a toxic workplace or being catfished. What is next for you? What would you like to accomplish by exposing the business partner or company or discovering a strength you never knew you had? How do you plan to trust again? Because you will have to trust someone again. And speaking of trust, I want to share this story with you. I found it difficult to love and trust again. Even after I reached a point where I felt I've surrounded myself with a positive career, a positive support group, a client who we really tried dearly to help was on her own mission to sabotage us, despite her having been to our first property and seeing our first villa, despite people staying in our villa, our guests staying in our villa, despite attending sessions and having lengthy conversations of what we were working towards. She betrayed us, posting pictures of a half-complete pavilion, which we didn't even use, and then not posting pictures of our villa or any of the training or participants she met. Perhaps she was disappointed we would not allow her to stay on site and we had her stay at our sister site. But we are very particular about the energy we let stay here out of consideration of maintaining a positive atmosphere for myself and future guests. And she made it clear she was not here to take time to work on herself. Her review may still be on Google business ratings, so you'll see how she contradicted herself by posting pictures and videos of her having this great experience with us, and then it's like she was an agent sent to discourage or divide us. But in retrospect, I seen her as a catfish trying to steal our identity or upset us. I was in peace, perhaps too peaceful, and she alerted me, the cod, to stay on my course for Africa's redemption. But maybe I should just take another approach. So the major reason why we decided to stay authentic and not convert to a virtual platform, but stay true to our mission of providing a place for us and by us, because who understands us more than us? We formally registered our program with an alliance directory in the U.S. to be a point of contact for our brothers and sisters who wanted to know the truth about yoga's roots and use the practice to help liberate themselves and wake up from the American dream, or be here for them when they wake up from the American dream. So we entered another system Westerners designed to try to censor or take credit for African or Afro-Indian or Asian culture. Or Afro-Asian culture. We registered our Yoga's African Roots program in the Westernized yoga system to raise awareness of the similarities in yoga and African Indian spirituality. It cost a fortune, and you see, the directory was right down the street from my former government employer, so two birds I had to expose with one stone. Although the directory appeared to mean well with the involvement in the Black Lives Matter movement, their intentions were the same as other fraudulent American systems. And to keep them functioning, they would put African Americans in position of leadership right under them to censor them and prevent them from exposing the truth, or to prevent the truth from being uncovered, using those African Americans to mislead the masses. You see, even the FDIC in its capacity could prevent insurance scams. Think about it. Where does the insurance money go when the beneficiary is denied? There are thousands of beneficiaries denied each year. Where does that money go? I have a story to share with you about how my grandmother was denied after my grandfather passed away of his insurance claim. And the reason for denying it was ridiculous. And so when I think about all those different type of examples, how the American corporation got rich, I look at FDIC and its involvement. And the EEOC could prevent workplace abuse, but it seems to focus more on protecting agencies. The Yoga Alliance was in a position to truly liberate African Americans by teaching them the truth about the history of yoga, but they rather changed the narrative, and again, like similar to Zionism, who by South African definition is a mix of African spirituality with religion, and religion is about control and spirituality is about freedom. So yoga is supposed to liberate you, not control the freedom to truth by changing the truth. Like Flash of the Spirit is a good starter book by Robert Greene. It's a good resource if you are starting your journey to self-discovery of the God within and not interested in being scammed by pastors or these business scams. Or it's time. You can learn more about that in your own research, or check out my vlog and various uncomfortable conversation topics I discuss in my own quirky way. Stop falling for the American dream scam. America has never been great at anything but scamming Africa. If you stand in solidarity with Africa, use your skills and resources to help Africa rather than exploit her. Okay, so that's my rant there. Check out our social media links. Share your positive vibes with other positive, vibrant folk at our upcoming events. We are calling all 2023 brides and grooms to be for a destination wedding show and workshop, because marriage is like a business partnership. This tough love event is to bring couples together for some R&R, setting business goals, life goals. This event is to link you with potential venues, event planners, marriage counselors, couples life mapping sessions, games, live band events, and entertainment. Check out our upcoming events to take part if you and your mate have a business together and it's all work and not enough play. It's time for some R&R. Love grows here. Also, join our invite list at odeab.com for wellness retreats and your chance to win a honeymoon day stay getaway. Students and artists should join our invite list for life mapping and business planning sessions, all as you retreat by the beach. Join our invite list for our upcoming graduates class trip and business or life planning sessions with a mentor and accountability partner. Or check out KOTU, KOTU, Knowledge of the Universe, designed by Zakaya. Join her invite list for her culture and science camp. You can call to be added to the wait list or contact us at any of the links in the description section. Up next, learn how I naturally cured a tumor, scorpion bite, and anemia. I am a living example that this place is magical. But you can check out my story about the tumor I had arriving to Africa and the near-death experiences which love and Mother Nature saved me from. I feel like this has been my life mate in past lives, familiar spirits, so to speak. I prefer a healthy marriage to aspire after rather than a 30-year unhappily married couple to look to for relationship goals. If you have an inspiring love story, leave a comment or join our invite list to attend our next event.